We continue then to get reaction on Ace Makashule's warrant of arrest. I'm joined now by MVA Council member and former advisor to the governing party's Secretary General, Ike More, as well as we'll have SACP's spokesperson, Alex Mashilo, also coming on the line. Alex, I want to start with you and get reaction from you as far as the news that the Hawks have now issued that a warrant of arrest. It has not reached Mr. Makashule yet. We don't know if it has by this evening, but at the time it has not. What is the reaction from the alliance partners?
No, firstly, we saw the statement from the Hawks and the media reports about Ace Makashule, the ANC Secretary General. It is going to be helpful for us to speak on matters that have been confirmed, because the statement issued by the Hawks does not contain the name of Ace Makashule. However, the media has raised that name and say that that is the particular name. So we will deal with that at the right time. We are, however, from where we stand, reaffirming our long-held view that the processes of the law must take their course. No one is above the law, but in handling matters of dealing with corruption, it is important to respect the rights of those who are affected or involved in terms of the Constitution and the laws of the Republic.
Yeah. I can tell you, Alex, that the Free State Hawks, Linda Steyn, spoke to Newzroom Afrika, and she confirmed indeed that the warrant of arrest has been issued for ANC Secretary General Ace Makashule. However, be that may be, he is, of course, in the top 6 of the ANC, a party with which you are in alliance with. What is your view as the SACP that those who are in the top political leadership of this organization are implicated in this particular scandal of the asbestos audit?
First of all, we are all equal before the law, and we must be treated as equal before the law, regardless of the position one is holding. We saw the statement from the ANC saying that the Secretary General has said that he will cooperate with law enforcement agencies. And that statement was based on the previous matter also issued in the context of the current matter. The ANC has communicated its position clearly from its resolutions that we agreed with, and will be looking forward to the leadership of the ANC on the matter. But we do not expect the ANC to act on matters that have not been confirmed either within the ANC or in due processes. We have the reason to believe that the ANC will act correctly in handling these and all other matters, as communicated recently at a press conference of the ANC held by ANC national officials following a meeting of the National Executive Committee, which was a special meeting. We don't want to speculate until everything is confirmed in a proper manner, because at least on our part, the statement released, we have seen from the Hawks say something else, but the confirmation you received from the Hawks in the Free State province says another thing.
All right, Alex, stay with me on the line. Let's get some clarity. The Hawks acting spokesperson, Colonel Katlego Mogale, joining us now on the line. Katlego, good evening, and thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, Tab.
Can you confirm to us indeed that a warrant of arrest has been issued for the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Ace Makashule?
Thabo, we as the Hawks are not in the business of confirming warrants of arrest, but I can say that everyone deserves their day in court. At this stage, we have received a subpoena, and that subpoena will be executed, wherein the suspect will be met at the police station by the investigator, formally be charged, and then have his day in court.
Now, it seems to us there is, from what you're saying, a disconnect between what's happening at Free State Province Hawks and what you are aware of at national. I don't know if you are talking the same language as far as what has actually occurred in this matter. And that certainly also brings into question as to what are the powers that are playing behind if you aren't able to confirm these things while other parts of the Hawks are able to confirm such things.
Our policies is we are not allowed to divulge a suspect's name until that same suspect has appeared in court across the board. And at this stage, that's what is happening currently.
What does being issued with a subpoena, you in hand have got the subpoena, actually mean? Does that mean that particular warrant has not been issued to Mr. Mashilo at this particular point?
That means that the suspect has been, or the accused has been warned to appear, be formally charged and taken to court.
And what is different about how this matter is handled to how, for example, the matter of the other 7 has been handled? Because we've seen how they were arrested, they were put behind the car in handcuffs, and they were taken to appear before the court of law. Why is this particular matter handled differently?
This is not being handled differently. If you recall, this morning there were 3 officers from the DPCI that were handled the same way as this case.
You are saying the officers from the DPCI, I'm sorry, Katlego, I missed that, did what?
This morning, 3 officers from the DPCI were taken in at Silverton Police Station and later taken to the Specialized Commercial Crime Court in Pretoria, where they were appeared before a magistrate and were brought to stay.
Yeah, I'm talking about this particular suspect, though, Katlego. I'm saying this suspect, which we've got confirmation from the Free State, is the SG of the ANC, Ace Mashilo, has not been handled in that similar way.
But as I already said to you, this is nothing new. This has happened before and most probably will happen in the future.
That there are certain people who will be treated differently to others in terms of how they are processed in the system? Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, what are you saying?
So the way this is being handled is not different from the way it was the 3 members that were arrested this morning was handled.
So you are saying, once again, Colonel, if I'm getting you clearly, that there will be a difference in how certain people are processed in the eyes of the public, particularly, as you're saying that there are 2 other officials or officers today who were handled almost similarly to the way that this particular suspect will be handled. And I'm putting it to you that we've also seen how others have been handled as far as the arrest of the Hawks, where they are actually handcuffed and they are taken in the vehicle and they are actually detained and they appear before court.
The circumstances most probably would not be the same. But as I've already said, this is nothing new that is being done. It has been done before.
Is that procedural? Be it nothing new is necessarily not an answer. Is it procedural? Is that how you are, in terms of the law, supposed to handle this process?
Yes, that is a subpoena. That's how it has always been handled.
All right, Colonel Katlego Mogale, we appreciate your time and thank you for joining us today on the news feed late night. Now, UDM leader Bantu Holomisa says he isn't surprised by the developments. He believes it was only a matter of time before Mashilo would face the music.
The pending arrest will no doubt send a signal to the rest of other comrades in corruption that at last our law enforcement agencies seem to have been freed to arrest and charge the wrongdoers. So we welcome this political will by the government. However, let the courts pronounce the last word. If I were to advise Ace Mashilo in the spirit of non-interference, I would say, stand on your own, don't mobilize ANC members and so on, because you're going to create an unnecessary tension. Just go to court and go and answer for your sins. If you are acquitted, so be it.
All right, let's get some legal opinion now. We're joined by Advocate Mudidi Mamanya on the line now. Good evening, Advocate, and thank you for your time. As far as the legal processes are concerned, what is, for the layman, the explanation of a warning? A suspect has been issued with a warning to appear. What does that mean?
Well, good evening to your viewers. Firstly, obviously for the police to lawfully bring a person before court, there is a process. There would have been an investigation, and once the prosecution is satisfied that there's a case, they will secure a warrant for the arrest, or a subpoena as they call it, to authorize the police to arrest the person, put that person in jail, and cause that person to appear in court.
Now, in this particular instance, the Hawks are saying, well, it is not an exception to the norm. Sometimes the suspect will not, in that case, be arrested, be put in custody, and appear before the court. For example, they'll be issued with a warning, and they might just appear in court on the day. Is that also part of the process?
Yes, it's part of the process. Remember, the reason police come to look for you is because you don't go and look for them when they inform you that they are looking for you. So if police were to inform you that they would like to arrest you, they have a warrant for your arrest, and you were to present yourself to the police station, there wouldn't be a need for the police to come to you generally. And I think it's civic responsibility that when the police say to you, look, we're looking for you, we have a warrant of arrest, instead of them coming to you, you can go to them. And I think there's nothing unprocedural or irregular about that.
Right.
The second issue is that, you know, a suspect has to appear in court within 48 hours or 72 hours. And there is nothing unusual or irregular if a suspect were to make arrangements to go to the police, because before you appear in court, you have to be processed by the police. And I think the suspect can present himself or herself to court, to the police. They will process that suspect, take that suspect to court, to appear in court for a first appearance.
But it does seem to the public, who are none the wiser about these legal processes, that there are certain exceptions that are being made, particularly for those who are politically connected, who are in political leadership, or high-profile suspects for that matter, because it's not necessarily a privilege that is extended to everyone to say, well, you don't have to arrest me now and put me in custody. I'll come and appear in 48 hours.
Yes, I think obviously there are benefits and disadvantages of being a particular person or not being a particular person. I think when there are high-profile people, the level of interest obviously gets heightened. And the risk in that situation is that we may forget that every one of us, whether poor or rich or high profile or not, enjoy the same procedural rights. And we might harper on who the person is as opposed to what the correct procedure is. Police do invite ordinary people. They do send a message and phone and say, we're looking for you. And ordinary people do run away, ordinary people do oblige and go to the police station. So I think we have to guard against overemphasizing the profile of the person and look at the procedural rights as well. You know, for instance, I was listening to the colonel from the Hawks. He's refusing to confirm that there is a warrant for Mr. Mashilo. It then becomes a bit of a challenge, because what if indeed the confirmation that was received might not necessarily be the correct one? But I think to overemphasize the profile is dangerous. In equal terms, we must condemn in the strongest terms where people do in fact enjoy preferential treatment, because that on its own undermines law enforcement and the credibility of the law enforcement system.
All right, Advocate, appreciate your time. Advocate Mudidi Mamanya there, helping us with the legal aspects of things and how processes in these matters are handled. Let me recap for you what's leading this hour here on the Newsfeed Late Night. The ANC's top leaders are meeting tonight to discuss a warrant of arrest for its Secretary General, Mashilo, over the Free State asbestos corruption scandal. At the same time, Makashule's 7 co-accused are expected back in court tomorrow. It's all systems go for the IEC tomorrow as 400 candidates battle it out in 95 by-elections in 55 municipalities across the country. And the former Data chairman, Andile Kaba, his lawyers alleges that the company deliberately excluded him from an executive incentive scheme because he's black. All right, then, and how intensifies its battle to get the community healthcare workers permanent on the national payroll. We'll get more details on that when the Newsfeed Late Night continues next. Stay with us. December, good evening.
Yes,
I'm well, man. How are you doing?
No, I'm okay.
Cool. We're coming to you now. All right, let's continue your reporting now on the Newsfeed Late Night. The National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union is forging ahead with its planned national strike. It commences tomorrow and will run indefinitely until government accedes to its demands. For more on this, I'm joined now by NHAL's Deputy General Secretary, December Mavuso. Good evening, and thank you very much for your time, Mr. Mavuso. Let's talk then about the process that you have undergone so far as far as preparing for this strike. You have done what the law requires as far as balloting is concerned, and what has been the response?
Yes, good evening, and thank you very much. Yes, we actually been preparing for some time now. Our members who are committed workers have been mobilized throughout the period of lockdown. Remember that they are part of the frontline workers that were, in the battle against COVID-19. They've been subjected to very difficult conditions, working in the rain, in the sun and so on. So they've been mobilized, but they went ahead to do all that work, put their lives at risk, despite the fact that they've not been permanently employed. Their conditions are very bad, despite the agreement that was signed with government. So we, for the past 2 weeks, we had asked our provinces to ballot all members to participate in the strike, and the response has been overwhelming. We are more than ready. We've just made an assessment this morning. All provinces have confirmed that it's all systems go.
So are you saying government is now doing an about turn on this agreement? Because, 5 months ago, for example, the MEC for Health, then who was still on before his suspension, Dr. Bandile Masuku, confirmed that about 8,500 community healthcare workers will now be made permanent and will actually come into the payroll as level 2 workers in Gauteng. I'm not sure what the situation is in the other provinces. So to an extent, government acknowledging that community healthcare workers are a foundation to primary healthcare in this country. What is giving you the sense and the feeling that government is now doing an about turn on that commitment?
remember, long before Bandile Masuku, as the MEC of Gauteng, made that announcement, we had agreed in 2018 in the Public Health Sectoral Bargaining Council together with government, where we signed an agreement that within a period of 12 months, we will work jointly on the modalities, standard operating procedures, and conditions of service in which community health workers will be permanently placed. And the 12 months came and gone. The agreement was signed in 2018, while in 2020, nothing of that sort happened. They sought, to extend that agreement. Even today, they wanted to extend. As is how we refused that we can't extend this agreement, indefinitely. We have to put this matter to finality. So when Bandile Masuku made the announcement, it was outside that framework that we were supposed to develop together as parties in the council. So he made an announcement, which was good. We appreciate that, welcome that at least there was an attempt from Gauteng to permanently place these workers. But the conditions, the salary level, is not something that we determined jointly as it was envisaged by that agreement we signed in 2018.
Now, why is this important for you? I mean, previously this matter, since as early as 2016, in fact, community healthcare workers have been part of the health response in the country since the 1990s to respond to the HIV/AIDS crisis. But going back and forth in the court started, as early, one would say, as 2016, where this particular issue was ventilated, and government then believed that community healthcare workers are not an employment program, but actually they are a training program to train communities on primary health care. Of course, they've since come around and recognized their importance. Why is it important that they be absorbed into the permanent payroll of Department of Health?
Look, the World Health Organization and many countries have recognized and accepted that if you want to build a strong primary healthcare system, you need community health workers because of the work they do that can be done by nurses and other healthcare workers. Government in South Africa has not been taking this serious, and it's a campaign ourselves we've been waging for many years. Now, in the build-up to NHI and the white paper on NHI, there was a recognition, this matter was brought in the NHI teams, the wide-based private healthcare teams. If you look at the NHI document, you find that amongst the categories of employees in that team, it is community health workers. So it is built in that system. And that is why, therefore, it is important to permanently employ them, better their working conditions, because they'll be working with the rest of the healthcare professionals led by a professional nurse deployed in each and every ward in terms of NHI. So you cannot, therefore, have the rest of the healthcare workers permanently employed with better work conditions. You still subject these community health workers to stipends, payment, short-term contracts, and all the hardships that they go through on a daily basis. So it's quite important because they are part of the backbone of the system at the primary healthcare level.
Talking of those short-term contracts, now previously governments attempt to, for example, force the community healthcare workers to renew their contracts. They've said, well, they're putting new conditions in place, something like they need to have a grade 9 qualification in order for them to be enrolled or to be given that kind of contract as service providers. At this bargaining council, have you come up with the criteria and conditions that would need to be fulfilled by those who are going to be absorbed on a full-time basis?
Those are the things I'm saying. We agreed we must work on within a space of 12 months, including what you do with those workers who've been in the system for many years, but they don't have metric, for instance. We will consider RPL and, training programs, reskilling, and all of those things. We were supposed to deal with all of those details. And unfortunately, government did not come to the party, to make sure that happens.
Now, of course, we are in the midst of the pandemic and COVID-19. It's still out there, and community healthcare workers have proven to be quite crucial, as you mentioned earlier on, with all the challenges that do exist there. How is this strike now going to affect those services?
Well, it is unfortunate that in a strike, obviously there are inconveniences. We know that, for instance, there are many of these community workers who are today deployed in schools, wherein they assist the education department to screen learners as and when they come into schools, but they're also doing contact tracing and so on. So that will be impacted by the strike. But these workers are sacrificing. They've been sacrificing a lot. At least they deserve better.
And by better, what are you putting as a list of demands as you're embarking on this strike?
We say employ them permanently, at least at salary level 3, in terms of the public service salary levels that are applicable, which is still very low. But as a start, we say place them at salary level 3, unlike how they did, where they place them at salary level 2. And we've been having a discussion in the public service to abolish those salary levels because they are really not assisting. We're saying give them working tools, including transport, because they travel, they go to the rural villages, they go to the townships, they walk through the rain, when there's heat and so all of those things. Give them working tools, give them cell phones if they have to be given cell phones for them to be able to communicate and all of those things. So those are the things that they really, but the first thing is permanently, give them permanent contract at salary level 3. And we deal with the rest, of the conditions of employment.
Do you think it's a realistic demand, considering that already Treasury is ceased with the conversation around cutting the public sector wage bill? Will this not be adding more of that burden that we are having conversation around cutting back on?
Well, the debate by Treasury, or the argument by Treasury, is not something all of us agree with. So we cannot say, because this is what Treasury says, that the public service wage bill is too huge, therefore it must be accepted as such. We still maintain that that is misplaced, but that's a debate for another day. The President has just announced the employment of 6,000 community health workers and nursing assistants for the next 3 years. We think it's possible, but we're also reminding the government of the ANC of the commitment they made during the manifesto in 2019 elections, that they will work to absorb about 50,000 of the community health workers. It is in that basis that this government was elected into office. Therefore, it's a commitment that they must keep. We do think from where we're sitting it's possible. These are workers that are out there as we speak, and means they must be made to make sure that they are absorbed.
All right, Deputy Secretary General of NAHAO, they're joining us on the line. December Mavuso, we do appreciate your time and thank you very much for coming.